All right, so when we last left the old F100 Ranger, I put the radiator and stuff back in, and we were trying to crank it, and it turned over, and I came in here and squirted some starting fluid in the carburetor, and it tried to fire, and then it acted like the battery was gonna die. So I put the charger on the battery. I come back a little while later, and when I went to crank it, it made a loud clunking noise, you know, like I guess the starter trying to engage, and then that was it. And then after that, it wouldn't do nothing. So then I come back a little bit later after that and tried it again, and it did the same thing. It made a large clunking noise, and then it wouldn't do nothing after that. You know, it's kind of like, it sounded like the starter trying to engage, like clunk and shorten, and then nothing. So I came out here a little bit last night, and I started messing with things, make sure everything's clean. So I cleaned up all the connections going to the relay and stuff, and then I got to looking at the wire for the starter, and it is in bad shape. Once I took it off up here and I cleaned it, I was like looking at it, I was like, it's hard to see, but the insulation's all frayed, so I'm wondering if it wasn't shorting out on the frame down there, because it is like dry rotted, and it's a lot of copper's exposed up until where it sits on the engine mounts there. So I went to Advance this morning and bought a new one. I also bought I have some solid wire, but I went ahead and bought some stranded wire, because as of right now, it does not have a body ground. This one goes straight from the battery to the engine. It looks like somebody had it set up maybe for frame ground, body ground, but it's not. And so I want to make sure we got that. It'll help with the lights and stuff, which we still haven't got all the lights working. So I'm gonna replace the starter wire going from the relay down to the starter, and then go from there. So. All right, we got the wire off. As you can see, it is in poor shape. This is down by the starter. So, got a new one here, Advance. We're gonna put that one on. All right, we got that back together. I got the chassis ground on. Get the new starter wire. See what happens. This key. There we go. Nothing. Nada. I had the battery on charge all night. I don't think the battery's dead. All right, back to plan D, maybe. So I did some checking. Check all the fuses. All the fuses seem fine. I had power. The windshield wipers, you know, work, kind of. Anyway, I got in here, pushed the gear shifter up, and it started working. So let's see what we can do here. I put some fuel in it yesterday. All right. Let's see what we can do here. Give me a minute. Well, I think the whole issue was the gear shifter, because it did a clunk again, and I pulled up on the gear shifter, and it's turning over. It'll start with a little bit of starting fluid in it, but it's not running, like it's not getting any gas, fuel. So we'll have to work on that. There's the chassis ground right there, going from the motor. So anyway, it's got two now. So so I have to see if it's getting any fuel. And I haven't had any problems with it cranking, but it's been sitting here for, you know, 5-6 weeks without running. So may just not have any fuel in it. May just need to crank it some, let it pump some fuel up in there, but we'll keep trying. So I'm looking, and the fuel filter here does not have a very much fuel in it, and it looks terrible, but it was running before. So I'm gonna say it's not getting any fuel to the bowl, because this should have a little bit of fuel in it. So I'm gonna keep cranking it, and just to see if it'll pump some fuel up to it and see what happens. Well, I've been cranking on it for a few minutes, and at one time I thought it was pumping some fuel up in there, but it don't look like it is. So either my fuel pump's not working or filter's too clogged. I don't know, but I'm out here by myself, so I don't know what else I'm gonna do here. It'll try to start if you squirt some starting fluid down into it, so I know it is capable of running, but it's just not getting any fuel. So that's what we're gonna look at next. All right, guys, we're here again, still trying to get the old F100 to start. Hadn't really done a whole lot, but I did order some new fuel filters. This is the one that come off of it, and it is all I can do to blow through it. And I put another one like this, and I think I've already broke this one. That came with a 2-pack from Amazon, and it was crooked a little bit, and I put my thumb against it to try to straighten it up, and it snapped, and I think it's broke. Anyway, I've already put one on the truck, so let's go see if we can start. It's dark. It's nighttime in North Kakalaki. So I've already put it on, and it didn't have an arrow, so I put coming through the filter from the pump, because I figured you want it to be filtered from the pump, right? But that may be wrong. The other one wasn't hooked up that way. The other one was, the one I took out, it had an arrow, and it was right, and it was the opposite way, where it pumped from the pump into the filter chamber, and then it had to go through the filter to the carburetor, but I've got it backwards. Anyway, I don't know what that was. Anyway, let's just crank it. See if that does anything. Look at there. New fuel filter, fired right up. Alright. I'll tell you what, I'm glad that thing fired up, because I was beginning to doubt how much I had. Because I bought this truck as a long bed, because I really didn't want a long bed, but I bought it because it was such a good runner. Like when I went and bought it, the guy fired it right up. It fired up every time, and before I parked it and started messing with the radiator and stuff, it fired up every time on me. So I was getting to be a little aggravated at it, and it just died. Let's see if she'll fire back up. Come on, baby. Yeah, come on. Jeez Louise. Come on, baby. All right. So maybe we're still aggravated at it. Well, I went ahead and swapped the filter around just to make sure that wasn't it, that it didn't just all of a sudden not work. I cranked it over a couple more times, and anyway, it's not cranking. But it's like getting close to 9 o'clock at night, so I'm calling this an evening. And geez Louise, gave me such hope. This truck is clowning me. I was just sitting there giving it props, and I was like, oh, I bought it because it runs good, and then it just dies on me. It must have heard me talking about it. So Anyway, cat. Anyway, we'll get back at it tomorrow. I went and got a regular fuel filter for this thing to put on here. Still not running right. There's a lot of dirt in the filter. I don't know if it's bad gas or what. It's got a little shake to it. So when I first put the filter on, it did the same thing. It fired up, ran for like 20 seconds, and then stopped. And I let it sit for like 10 minutes and start it up again. I just came out here and cranked it, started up again, did the same thing. I just let it sit for like another 10 minutes, came out here and cranked it up again. Cranked up. It's the island, cranked it up. It's hard to see in the camera. It's got this island. Look it up. See if it'll stay island, and I'll put the breather back on it. Take it for a drive, see the power steering wheel. Well, I'm hoping that was it. I took it down the road. It got warm. I thought it was going to overheat, but then I guess the thermostat opened and it cooled back off. So I topped off the coolant, took about another 3/4 of a gallon, and topped off the power steering pump. It was whining pretty hard. And let's see if she'll fire up. Son of a bitch. Better. Alright, let's see what we got. Oh, the switch don't want to work half the time. Yeah, she fired up that time. So I'm hoping that was it. Clearing the fuel filter. Finally got the right one in there. It was like $5 at Advance. So running a little bit smoother. So I'm gonna call this done. This troubleshooting. Probably getting ready to die. But it'll run. Anyway, alright, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe if you want to. I got some more work to try to do on this thing. So I'll probably do a tune-up on it, new plugs, wires, and stuff, all that stuff. You know, normal stuff. Anyway, man, y'all like it. Appreciate it.